So recently Manchester police did a mock terrorist exercise at a shopping centre to test to see how quickly the emergency forces will respond. And as always, someone got offended. Would you like to know why someone got offended? Because one of the fake suicide bombers shouted out Allahu Akbar during the exercise. And to explain to us how shouting out Allahu Akbar during a terrorist exercise is wrong and stereotypical, here is good old Al Jazeera, AJ+. Right, before we get into these insightful complaints about this horrible insult, I'd also like to say that there is no problem. Allahu Akbar is a very common phrase among today's terrorists. I mean, that's just a fact. Look at the news, and then you'll see, when you look at the terrorist attacks, the majority of the time, the terrorists are going to be shouting out Allahu Akbar. Right, anyway, let's get into these fantastic responses to this heinous crime. I don't really hear anyone saying, other than like morons, they don't trust like any Muslims at all. But when you do look at the Quran and Hadith, and you do look at the things that are said in there about killing non-believers, killing people who leave the religion, killing gay people, subjugating women, I mean, is it really that hard to like comprehend that people who believe these things could quite possibly actually go out of their way and do these things that it says to do in their holy book? There was nothing in that video that is even close to being disgusting to anyone watching it. What the police did by shouting Allahu Akbar is adding another depth of realism into the exercise, because correct me if I'm wrong, and I very may well be, but ISIS are a very big terrorist threat at the moment. And what are ISIS? An extremist group of Muslims that follow the doctrine of Islam so extremely that they take all the bad parts of the Quran and Hadith and go through with it, such as killing gay people, killing non-believers, killing Muslims who leave the religion, etc. And once again, demonizing Muslims Islam. No! It isn't demonizing. It's just pointing out the fact that the biggest terrorist groups out there are Islamic terrorist groups. The police aren't demonizing Muslims or the religion of Islam. That isn't what the police are going for. They're just trying to add another depth of realism into their exercise. And if that offends you, then I'm just sorry. You're just too sensitive to have to deal with the facts of life. Just like the previous tweet, there's nothing disgusting in this video that was done by the Manchester police. Allahu Akbar is one of our most holy phrases, and they too have disrespected it. There was nothing disrespectful about using it. As I've said, they are adding more realism to the exercise. And what I would like the police in my country to be doing when they're doing their terrorist exercises is to make it as realistic as possible. And shouting at Allahu Akbar adds a little bit more realism. Yeah, they didn't have to add it in, but why not?
Come on, get ready! Come on, get set! It's time for the Sesame Street alphabet! A is for Allahu Akbar!
So let's go through this apology by Tony Lloyd, who is the interim mayor of Greater Manchester. The operation has been marred by the ill-judged, unnecessary and unacceptable decision to have those playing the parts of terrorists to shout out Allahu Akbar. It didn't add anything to the event. Okay, well, it did add something to the event. It added a scope of realism, because more times than not, when a terrorist is about to do his terrorist thing, whether that be shooting people or blowing himself up, he's going to be shouting out Allahu Akbar, because Islamic extremism, yes, they do represent Islam. No, not all Muslims. Just to get the preemptive not all out there, just in case I get, because, I mean, just in case, when I get accused of hating on all Muslims. But no, these terrorists are Muslim. They shout Allahu Akbar because they follow Islam. They follow the Quran, the Hadith. They follow what it says. I don't know if he's being serious in this apology. I guess maybe he's just saying it just because there's been a lot of backlash. I don't know about a lot, but there's been backlash. He probably knows as well. It adds realism to the event. He shouldn't apologise. It's ridiculous when you apologise. He's apologised. The majority of people won't accept his apologies. Oh, that doesn't matter. You've still done it. The only reason you're apologising is because everyone pointed out your bullshit or whatever. So don't apologise, man. I mean, it's too late now. He's already apologised, but you know, you get what I mean.
الله أكبر 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 الله أكبر.
What is the stereotype that's being perpetuated? I'm going to assume that the one you're speaking of is that all Muslims are terrorists. Okay, well that's obviously false. But when you have a lot of either terrorists or terrorist sympathizers celebrating the terrorist act by shouting at Allahu Akbar, if it's such a stereotype, the people who are perpetuating it are the people themselves. A police force doing an exercise isn't perpetuating a stereotype, it's just adding realism, as I've said about 68,000 times already. Let's look at some examples of Allahu Akbar being shouted out by people who sympathize with suicide bombers and terrorists in general. So what you just saw was a group of people mourning the death of a failed suicide bomber, parading his body around the streets, mourning the loss of a terrorist. This isn't just a very small minority. There are people who identify with these terrorists. They agree with what they're doing. Whether they're doing it themselves or not is irrelevant. They agree with the acts that they do. The idiots forgot to disarm the bomb, obviously, because it blows up. And that was just a short clip. There's a little more, which I'll show. Alright, I'm not going to show any more of that because it would go against YouTube's terms of service, because near the end of the video there is a lot of dead bodies, without limbs, without heads. It's pretty damn gruesome, so I'm not going to show any of that. But that's just one example of a multitude out there. This isn't just the terrorists shouting Allahu Akbar in celebration or in a way to put fear into the eyes of the people they're going to murder. These are just people. They're not exactly ordinary since they believe this and follow this crazy shit, but that's just one small example of people who aren't even blowing themselves up. These are people who like them. These are people who follow them, who cheer them on, who mourn their deaths. So it's not a stereotype to point out that these things happen. It's just the truth. Another riveting video, as always, from AJ Plus. AJ Plus have a multitude of brilliant videos ranging from race to religion to politics to anything, but they love talking about race and religion. Race mainly. I made another video in response to one of their videos about black people. They made a video about how all of the institutions in America are based on slavery, and that's why they're so against black people these days. And I pretty much just refuted each and every point they made. So if you want to watch that, that's on my channel. That's my first video I ever made. So go easy on me if you haven't seen it, and if you do see it. And yep, that is it for my second ever video. Thank you for watching. This has been The Last Reptilian. Farewell.